Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Renko Edge, where I look at futures markets for potential setups for the week ahead. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to actually start, I think, first of all, let's see if I can find the screen, with a bit of seasonality first. So this is my matrix, and we're actually in towards the end of October now, the second half, definitely deep into the second half of it, and we've got what we're looking at down here. Anything interesting? Cocoa still very bearish at the moment and holding off into November. We've got orange juice and lumber both picking up for November. Orange juice more so hurricane season there. Further down, anything exciting? Soybean oil still staying bullish along with soybeans. Corn gets bearish into November. Rough rice does a flip from strong bearish this month to bullish next. Metals, not a lot going on at the moment. We know gold is running up, bullish, so not much of a seasonality effect there. But November also strong for all metals there. And we got the energy sector all very bearish at the moment until nat gas turns in November, where we would be factoring in sort of weather conditions, maybe colder weather snaps that spike up the price there. And more interestingly, I love this time of year for the stock market indices. You can see a lot of green and very strong bullish scenarios playing out, starting to build up, especially in those US stock markets, almost heading into that Santa rally December period as well, but normally pretty strong there for those. So let's get into the actual charts, do the usual rundown, work our way through that huge list of futures we got there and pick out anything that looks exciting for the week ahead. So we're going to start in the metals. Copper, got to say, really not looking that exciting. Maybe we got that sort of wedge pattern for a further push up. Bullish at the moment there. Shorter term, I'd say pretty neutral. And heading into some COP data, commitment of traders data, looking weak to neutral there for the large speculators. Seasonality wise, we did just say that it's starting to pick up, get more bullish. Volatility though, it's actually, to be fair, it has picked up a little bit in the last week or so, going above its average, 44-45% there at the moment from average of 31. So that's picking up. So that could be interesting as we get that squeeze going down in the price. So yeah, look out for a possible push on upwards there. And gold, well, you'll probably know about gold at the moment. It's been the calendar boy pin up of the last few weeks, months. Where could it go? Let's have a look, see where we could go. We can see a pullback at the moment in terms of the price action. Let's have a go, see where we can get the right Fibonacci first. There we go. We line that on there. Upwise, if we can still continue, 4,600 is the next zone, and 4,800 up there. Got to get back through those highs around the mid 4,350s there and in there. Downside, well, we saw that pullback, didn't we? 4,100, 4,200 looks the sort of zone for pullbacks, but this could be a buy the dip opportunity, or is it a double bluff? And like I said, it tries this ladder of Fibonacci. The next key important Fibonacci, 61.8 there, around about 4,000. So that's a significant area for a more dramatic pullback. Maybe again another buy the dip, but yeah, at the moment everything's still remaining bullish. We've got the stochastic there looking good, and the shorter term, yeah, it's not bad. so call it more neutral to flat at the moment. Volatility shifted up a lot. There you can see from its average of 17 to 33% in the last few weeks, and large speculators all still bullish, and seasonality all still bullish as well. So gold still looking pretty decent. Silver, I won't go into too much there. It's quite correlated to gold there, and again looking like maybe a buy the dip opportunity possibly there. Platinum, nothing really to talk about. Volatility picking up. You can see there from 37 average to 65, 66 at the moment. Nothing too much exciting to talk about. Let's just quickly look at those Fibonacci's very quickly. See if I'm just seeing for the pullback there. Yeah, I thought so. It's come back into this sort of 1600 area. So it could be a buy the dip opportunity. Certainly not at the moment though. The timing's not there, so watch out for that one. And palladium peaked out at 1680. Yeah, call it 1680 sort of area there. Again, another pullback, probably some profit taking in there. Target zones. Let's see where that's going on that recent run up. Yeah, it's using the Fibonacci's nicely. Into that zone there, 1500 could be a good support area for another buy the dip in the shorter term. Looking a bit more weak bearish. Volatility again gone up from 45 to nearly 90% in the last few weeks, so a big increase there. Large speculators bullish, not much in the way of seasonality, so mixed bag there for palladium, but watch a possible buy the dip. Now in terms of currencies, I've added in this week the dollar index, because really that's the driver of most of these futures pairs. So I wanted to see what was going on, and actually we're after a bit of weakness there in the dollar from about October sort of time. We now start to see a turnaround, as you can see there on the chart. It looks like it's heading back stronger as well, so bear that in mind when you're putting together your currency pairs. So we're looking for a stronger US dollar at the moment, so that's probably bearish for quite a few of these, like the Australian dollar, the pound. Let's have a look at the euro. What's going on in the euro? Yeah, it's starting to turn. Where could that go to? Let's just put it on there. There's a nice double bottom there. As you can see, providing that bounce around, where is that, 1.1589 area. So we could see it move back towards that if that US dollar keeps getting stronger. Nothing though that really stands out to me at the moment in the forex world. Japanese yen's normally a fun one to play, and that's USD. Remember, it's not like in your CFD world, it's JPY first. So we've got, like I said, we've got the bit of strength there in the Japanese yen over the US dollar, but just fighting it a bit, so maybe a bit of sideways action in there for that one. Into crypto, Bitcoin, not been doing so well of late, especially over October. It's been a pretty poor month, unless you were short, of course. Let's have a look of the key numbers in that world. So it stopped in at around that 105,000 mark. We're going short-term bullish. We're on the bounce here. How far could it go up next? We've got a lot of noise around that next key Fibonacci, and over there you can see that's about 113,500. That looks like a nice number to target if you're bullish. And then using that ladder up 116, got it mid 118s, and then 122 where you've got a lot of noise in there, so that could be a real overhead sort of roadblock for it before it either decides to move on up even faster or play back in that range. But at the moment we got good momentum, shorter term all looking a bit better. Not much else to pick. Volatility wise, pretty standard, 40, early 40s at the moment. What about Ethereum? Probably similar story. Again, we had that sort of high periods around the 4,800s. Let's just draw that on. Current momentum bullish in the short term. Fizzled out around 3,700, 3,750 zone. Again, 4,100, 4,125 could be the target there for upside. Got to break through this noise in there to get to 4,400, but watch for quick reversals back down. Shorter term, like I said, it's all looking a bit more bullish than Bitcoin at the moment. Commitment of traders also looking bullish. Then into energies, we got crude oil looking pretty weak at the moment, I've got to say. Short term just turning as we put this together today. Let's have a look where it could go down to if it's going to head further south. With the Israeli Hamas Palestine type thing, would maybe call it a bit more settled than what it has been. That took off some edge from the maybe more bullish direction of oil, weakened it somewhat. So next downside, you're probably looking around 54, 53 and a half dollars if it breaks down. If this is just a false turnaround at the moment, if we looked at the other detail, it's weak in the short or medium terms. Volatility, nothing special at the moment, so that makes it a bit harder to trade. Sometimes mean reverting strategy is better at that time, but commitment of traders also pretty weak, and seasonality wise we do drop off for most of the rest of the year. So if it plays out, I think crude oil could be very weak. Heating oil, similar picture. Nat gas, that's the one to watch for the weather over the next month or so. US nat gas, often we get these bullish spikes. Seasonality could suggest more bullishness. Commitment of traders leveling out but holding bullish. Volatility starting to pick up as well, so could be an interesting market to watch out for over the next month. Let's just do a quick Fibonacci on that. Give you some numbers. And we've got 3.29, then the highs 3.6. Downsides, you've got to factor in that ladder there, that 3.1, call it 3, and 2.8 there. For the moment, looking more bullish, but watch out for the old weather seasonality. Arbol gasoline looking pretty weak, along correlated with crude WTI. Then into indices, equity indices. S&P taking a bit of a step back over the last month, making it a bit harder to trade. You can see that sort of range between 6,750, 6,550. So you've got $200. You've got some nice movement in there. Is it building up for another Christmas push and the Santa rally? At the moment, we're on a bullish upturn, short and medium term looking bullish. Volatility picking up, which can sometimes signal more bearish conditions there, picking up into the 20s, so it's nice to see some volatility back there though. Commitment of traders for the large speculators also looking a bit weaker at the moment. Nasdaq 100 again consolidating in that block there, maybe looking to push on upwards. Let's get some numbers in on that on the Fibonacci. give us some ideas where we could be heading. The high is 2,300, then we'll call it not 2,300, 25,300, and then nearly 26,000 is that next upside there. Down moves look like a lot of support there at 24,477, and then into this zone here at around 24,000 if we round it up, 23,950 there. But shorter term looking all right. Commitment of traders picking up, seasonality obviously picking up as we just talked about in short term. Maybe a buy the dip in the shorter term, pushing on up to those highs, like I said, and moving on upwards. The Indian Nifty next. It's been one of the good ones over October. Still looking strong, as we also see with the Japanese Nikkei in a minute. And where could we be heading? I'd be looking at 26,200, 26,400, 26,600 to the upside. Downside pull back into that 25,400 area, and then 25,100 if things turn a bit more sour. Seasonality also good this time of year. Volatility pretty low, only 9.5%, not much there. But short term, medium term, long term, all looking good there. The German DAX next, not looking so rosy. Been struggling more so than most of the majors there over the last month or so. Trending down, just starting to turn around that key Fibonacci 23,900. We got 24,270, 24.5, and then 24,8 to get you back towards the highs. And then if it can get there, 25,280. But if it continues the weakness and it maybe turns from here, again use that ladder as your potential targets. Shorter term, maybe a weak bullish sort of play. Volatility starting to pick up slightly. Then Nikkei, I said that was another good one that's been performing well of late. Still looking strong. Upsides, further upsides, and it's been doing very well for itself. 51.5 would be the next obvious target, and again the ladder of Fibonacci for your downside pullback zones. Key ones there, 46,600 and 44,800. Short, medium term, all looking pretty decent. Seasonality kicks in as well. We like the other indices. So yeah, Nifty and the Nikkei looking good. The Nasdaq and the S&P maybe consolidating, looking for something to give it an excuse to push on upwards. Some softs now. Cotton, nothing too much to talk about there. I would say that's still looking weak at the moment. Coffee recovering from itself, but it is approaching this high range here, so watch out for that. Is it time to break, or is it way back down again? So odds are looking more like a reversal at those highs. And then orange juice, very weak at the moment, but as I mentioned earlier, hurricane season fast approaching, often brings the spikes. Remember, it all comes from Florida, this stuff, so quite easily push the price back up there. One that has been weak, but heads into some good seasonality. Cocoa, you can see there, so maybe a good buy the dip opportunity here. Where is it at the moment? 5,900s at the moment. Not looking that exciting in the short and medium term, but for recovery wise, it could be like I say, a good buy the dip opportunity there. And targets, next upside 6,800 and 7.5 and 8,000 and 8,600 back into that real noise there. So one to watch out for there. And sugar, I would say pretty dull and range bound. Cattle still trolling up nicely. We got the same with the feeder cattle, bit of a tighter range there on feeder cattle. Hogs, volatile but all over the place. They got on the commitment of traders data there, looking very bullish. Volatility up from 40 to 75. Short term very weak down there. Any targets or obvious targets I could pull back that a real long way. Where could we be thinking about? It does take us down to those low sort of areas, 74.5 possibly. Moving on, not much liquidity in these guys. Dry whey and milk, so difficult ones to trade. Lumber, that's another good one to watch out for. Looking like it's on a bit of a recovery from that pullback. Nope, wrong one. Let's just see whether it's hitting any noise. Again, formed a nice double bottom in there. 61.8 at the moment, 628, so that could be a key. And you've got lots of other at price action around that zone. But looking at that, maybe a revert, call it a weak reverse head and shoulders. So possibilities of going back to the high, 694. A commitment of traders, large speculators looking bearish. What else? Canola, again, not a lot of liquidity. And then into the other grains, corn. Well, we've got, seasonality wise, it does pick up. Large speculators not very excited by it at the moment, but we've got this sort of flag pattern, which if you're talking in terms of targets, it could be, heading up to the 460 sort of area, possibly. Soybeans, good seasonality at the moment, as you can see, continuing on up, so that's one I'd definitely be watching. As you can see there over in the chart, seasonality really strong. It's all down to the the way the crop works. This one, it is one of the best seasonality markets out there. Looking very good. Upsides, let's put some numbers on. Up to the highs, 1060. And you're talking 1078, 1087. Then we got soybean oil, not so exciting. Sort of range there. Could be on for another pullback, so watch that. Commitment of traders data also weak. Meal, maybe looking a bit more bullish than oil. And then we got oats, still looking pretty weak, but maybe stabilizing around the 290 to 85 area. Rough rice, still looking bearish. And then finally we've got wheat, again not looking that exciting. Seasonality a bit jaded, a bit flat at the moment. Large speculators picking up, but it's not looking very exciting there for wheat. Again, it's that sort of box area, 530 to 490 sort of zone. Not very exciting. Just got a question there on the silver outlook, and I scouted over it quick. I'll put some numbers on there. I did briefly talk about it being correlated to gold, but let's just formalize that a bit more. Let's find some numbers to pick from. The obvious. There's been a nice uptrend from April time, really, silver. So at the moment, there could still be some downside. 48 48.34, 48.35. You can see that price action there. That could be, more of a stronger pullback by the dip opportunity. Then the next key Fibonacci, $44 there. Look out for those ones. And then 38. And upsides, if it does do this by the dip, then we're talking 60 and 64 as our next upsides. So there you go. That's a quick summary of what's been going on in futures world and what could be going on. Some interesting stock markets. Nifty, then Nikkei, possible bounces for cocoa, gold, silver, possible buy the dip opportunity. So still plenty out there for you guys to be getting your hands on. So that's it for me for this week. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Let me know with thumbs up, comments on the channel. Much appreciated. And thanks for joining. And I hope to see you again very soon.